The email arrived at 9:12 exactly when my coffee cooled. Subject line neutral. Tone professional. Meaning heavy. I read it twice, then once more, slower. A formal warning. Performance concerns. Expectations not met. A request for immediate improvement. I stared at the office wall, gray and familiar. The hum of printers continued without interest in my thoughts. My reflection stared back from the dark screen, tired and tense. I had always believed effort spoke for itself. Show up early, leave late, say less, do more. Apparently, that language was no longer understood here. My manager's name sat politely at the bottom. No anger, no warmth, just distance shaped into sentences. I minimized the email and opened a spreadsheet. Numbers blurred together. Columns lost meaning. My hands rested on the keyboard, unmoving. The warning echoed louder than it should have. Not because it surprised me, because it confirmed something I avoided admitting. I had been slipping, not dramatically, quietly, the worst kind. Deadlines pushed, ideas recycled, energy rationed carefully between work and home. Home, that word carried more weight lately. I checked my phone. No new messages, just the time blinking forward, impatient. The suburban street outside the office window looked calm, trees unmoving, cars passing occasionally. A version of stability I no longer trusted. I thought about the mortgage statement folded in my bag, the credit card balance I pretended not to memorize, the repair estimate for the car still unopened. Ambition used to feel like fuel. Now it felt like pressure applied from every direction. At noon, I sat through a meeting without speaking. I nodded at appropriate moments, wrote notes I would never reread. My chest tightened whenever someone mentioned quarterly goals. I imagined my name removed quietly from future emails. By the time the workday ended, I felt smaller, compressed by polite disappointment. The drive home took longer than usual. Traffic thickened near the bridge. Red lights stretched patience thin. I practiced explanations in my head. None sounded convincing. Most sounded defensive. Our house appeared at the end of the block, unchanged. White siding. Neatly trimmed lawn. A place designed to signal control. I parked and sat for a moment. Engine off. Silence, loud. Inside, the air smelled like cleaning spray and reheated soup. She had been busy. That much was clear. My wife stood at the counter, arms crossed loosely. Not angry, not calm, somewhere in between. "You're late," she said, measured. "Traffic," I replied, equally careful. We had perfected this exchange over months. Short answers, neutral tones, avoidance disguised as efficiency. I set my bag down and removed my shoes slowly. Every movement deliberate, time stretched. She glanced at me, then away. "Did you check the mail?" "Yes," I said. That was technically true. "Anything important?" she asked. I hesitated, just long enough to notice. "Bills," I said. Nothing unexpected. Her jaw tightened slightly. She didn't press. That hurt more than questioning would have. Dinner passed quietly. Spoons against bowls. The refrigerator humming faithfully. She mentioned grocery prices. I nodded. She mentioned the neighbor's renovation. I nodded again. My thoughts stayed at the office, at the email, at the quiet threat beneath polite wording. Later, while she showered, I unfolded the mortgage statement. Numbers printed cleanly, without judgment. Late fees, highlighted in small, bold text. I added figures in my head, then stopped. The total made my throat tighten. I folded the paper carefully and returned it to my bag. Avoidance felt easier than action. That night, sleep came unevenly. I stared at the ceiling, counting nothing. Listening to her breathing steady beside me, I wondered when stability became something fragile, when effort stopped being enough. Morning arrived too soon. Coffee tasted bitter. News played quietly, offering distant problems. I dressed in silence. She watched from the doorway. "You've been distant," she said. Not accusing, just tired. "I'm fine," I replied automatically. She sighed. The sound lingered longer than words. At work, the email waited. Unread again. Still present. I opened it once more, forcing myself to read every line. The message was clear: improve or prepare. During lunch, I sat outside on a bench. Cold air sharpened my thoughts. A neighbor from down the street waved while passing. The same woman who always offered advice, unsolicited. "Everything okay?" she called. "Yeah," I said, instinctively. She smiled knowingly, as if unconvinced. "Life gets heavy sometimes," she said. "Don't carry it alone." The comment lingered after she walked away. Uninvited. Persistent. That afternoon, I worked harder than I had in weeks. Focused. Precise. Driven by fear more than ambition. When I returned home, my wife was waiting. Not at the counter. At the table, she had laid out papers, bills, statements. No accusations. Just facts. "We need to talk," she said quietly. I sat down, feeling the weight finally settle. There was no avoiding this moment now. The papers lay between us, like evidence waiting for interpretation. She did not touch them. Neither did I. "I know something's wrong," she said. Her voice stayed level. That made it harder. "I got a warning at work," I said finally. The words sounded smaller, spoken aloud. Nothing final, just a warning. She nodded slowly, absorbing information without reacting. "How serious?" she asked. "Serious enough," I said. Not a lie. Not the whole truth. She leaned back, exhaled. "I wish you told me sooner." "I didn't want to worry you," I replied. "That's not protection," she said. "That's distance." The words settled between us. Distance. Accurate. Uncomfortable. I looked at the bills again. I thought I could fix it quickly. She folded her hands. "You don't fix pressure by hiding it." Silence returned, thicker now. I noticed how tired she looked. Dark circles beneath careful makeup. "I've been cutting back everywhere," she continued. "Groceries, utilities, things you didn't notice." Guilt tightened behind my ribs. "I noticed," I said. "I just didn't say anything." She shook her head slightly. "That's the problem." We sat like that for a while. Two people facing the same direction but standing apart. Later that evening, I stepped outside to clear my head. The air was cool, sharp, Streetlights hummed softly. Our neighbor was watering her lawn, as always, precise. She glanced over, observant. "Rough day?" she asked casually. "Something like that," I said. She nodded. "Money trouble?" I hesitated, then shrugged. "Work trouble, which becomes money trouble." She turned off the hose. "I've been there," she said. "Lost a job once, nearly lost myself." I waited. She seemed the type who spoke carefully. "People think stability breaks loudly," she continued. "But it usually cracks quietly first." The words felt uncomfortably accurate. "How did you manage?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "I asked for help sooner than I wanted." Back inside, my wife sat on the couch, scrolling aimlessly. I joined her without speaking. After a moment, she leaned her head against my shoulder. A small gesture, meaningful. "We can figure this out," she said. "But only if you let me in." "I'm trying," I replied. "Try differently," she said. The following days blurred together. Work intensified. Home grew tense but honest. I stayed late, volunteering for tasks others avoided. I asked questions I once pretended to know answers for. My manager noticed. Not immediately, but enough to acknowledge. At home, we began listing options, budget adjustments, temporary sacrifices, uncomfortable conversations. Each decision felt like admitting failure, also like reclaiming control. One evening, while reviewing numbers, my wife paused. "What if you looked elsewhere?" she asked. The suggestion landed heavier than expected. "Leave?" I asked. "Explore," she corrected. "You don't owe loyalty to a place draining you." I had built much of my identity around that job. Walking away felt like erasing proof of effort. "I'm not sure," I said. "That's okay," she replied. "Just don't dismiss it." Sleep improved slightly. Still uneven, less suffocating. One afternoon, the neighbor stopped by with coffee. Unprompted, unannounced. "Thought you could use this," she said. We talked briefly. About weather. About rising costs. Before leaving, she said, "Pride is expensive. Sometimes more than debt." I considered that long after she left. At work, I requested a meeting. Not defensive, not apologetic. "I want clear expectations," I said, "and a path forward." My manager seemed surprised, then thoughtful. "We need consistency," he said, "not heroics." That was new, also relieving. The warning remained active, but conditional. Improvement measured monthly. No guarantees. When I told my wife, she listened carefully. "That's something," she said. "Is it enough?" I asked. "For now," she replied. "But let's not pretend it fixes everything." She was right. Nothing was fixed yet. That weekend, we skipped eating out. Cooked together instead. The rhythm felt familiar. Chopping vegetables. Sharing small tasks. At one point, she laughed softly. A genuine sound. Rare lately. I realized how much tension had lived between us silently. Not explosive, erosive. Later, we sat on the porch, wrapped in blankets. Cars passed slowly, lives unfolding beyond our awareness. "I miss feeling like a team," she said. "So do I replied. "Then let's act like one," she said. Something shifted then. Not dramatically, subtly. The problems remained. Bills still waited. Work remained uncertain. But the silence felt different. Less isolating. More intentional. That night, I updated my resume. Not as a plan, as a possibility. I didn't tell her immediately, but I planned to. Change no longer felt like betrayal. It felt like responsibility. As I shut down the computer, I noticed a sense of calm. Fragile. Real. The road ahead stayed unclear. But for the first time in weeks, it felt navigable. Monday arrived without warning, as if weekends never existed. I felt steadier than expected. That surprised me. At work, I focused less on proving value, more on doing the job correctly. The difference mattered. I stopped rushing emails, stopped volunteering for everything, started asking for priorities. My manager noticed again. This time, he commented openly. "You seem more grounded," he said. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." I nodded, unsure how to explain. The change wasn't tactical. It was internal. At home, the atmosphere shifted slowly. Not lighter. More honest. We talked more in fragments than long conversations. Check-ins, updates, small recalibrations. One night she asked, "Are you scared?" "Yes," I answered quickly. Too quickly to filter. She didn't respond immediately, just reached for my hand. "Me too," she said. That shared admission mattered. Fear acknowledged became manageable. Midweek, an unexpected expense surfaced. Car repair. Unavoidable. Poorly timed. I felt the familiar pressure return. Chest tight. Thoughts racing. I almost kept it to myself. Almost. Instead, I told her immediately. She sighed, then nodded. "Okay," she said. "Let's look at it. No blame, no frustration, just problem solving." We adjusted numbers again, cut deeper, postponed plans. Each sacrifice felt heavier than the last, but less lonely. That evening, the neighbors saw me in the driveway. Car, hood, open, tools scattered uselessly. "Looks expensive," she said. "Feels that way," I replied. She leaned against the fence. "You're handling it differently," she observed. "How so?" "You're not pretending you're fine," she said. "That's progress." I thought about that later. Progress measured by honesty, not results. The resume updates continued quietly. One posting caught my attention. Same field. Smaller company. I hesitated before applying. Fear of rejection. Fear of change. I applied anyway. Days passed without response. I tried not to attach meaning. Still did. At work, pressure fluctuated. Some days, calm. Others dense with expectation. I met targets, not perfectly, consistently. At home, routine stabilized. Morning coffee together. Evenings without phones. One night, she brought up something unexpected. "I've been feeling distant for months," she said. "Before the warning?" I asked. "Yes," she replied. "You were here, but somewhere else." I absorbed that quietly. She wasn't accusing. She was explaining. "I thought being strong meant carrying everything," I said. She shook her head gently. "Being strong means letting someone carry it with you." That sentence stayed with me. Later that week, an email arrived. Interview request. The smaller company. I read it twice. Then, once more. When I told her, her face changed. Not excitement. Relief. "Whatever happens," she said, "I'm proud you're moving." The interview felt strange. Less aggressive. More conversational. They asked about teamwork, boundaries, sustainability. I answered honestly. About mistakes. About learning. When it ended, I didn't know the outcome. But I felt aligned. Back home, we cooked again. A new recipe. Slightly burned. We laughed anyway. Later, sitting quietly, she asked, "What if you don't get it?" "Then I keep going," I said. "And if you do?" "Then we adjust," I replied. She smiled faintly. "That sounds like us again." The warning at work still existed. The debt still existed. Nothing had disappeared, but something had changed shape. Pressure redistributed, responsibility shared. That night, as I lay awake, I noticed the absence of panic. Uncertainty remained, but it no longer felt like failure. It felt like transition. The call came on a Thursday afternoon. Unexpected. Private number. I stepped into the stairwell to answer. Concrete walls. Echoing silence. They offered the position. Lower title. Better balance. The salary was slightly less, but benefits stronger. Hours humane. I thanked them. Asked for time. When I returned to my desk, my manager waited. His expression unreadable. "Close the door," he said. He spoke carefully. Budget tightening. Restructuring. My role wasn't secure. No immediate termination, but no guarantees. I left that room feeling hollow. Two paths, both uncertain. At home, I delayed telling her, not intentionally. Just needed quiet. She noticed immediately. My silence had weight. "What happened?" she asked. I told her everything. Offer, warning, choices. She listened without interrupting, then asked one question. "Which scares you more?" I didn't answer right away. Both did. "The new job," I admitted. "Because it means admitting this one failed." She nodded slowly. "That doesn't mean you failed." I wanted to believe that. Didn't yet. Later that night, I overheard her on the phone. Low voice. Serious tone. "I know. she said. I'm worried too. My chest tightened. I didn't recognize the voice on the other end. When she noticed me, she ended the call quickly. Too quickly. I didn't ask immediately. Old habits resurfacing. Assumptions forming. Sleep didn't come easily. Thoughts replayed the moment. Tone. Timing. The next day, tension followed us quietly. Unspoken. Persistent. I imagined scenarios. None generous. That evening, I finally asked, "Who were you talking to?" She looked surprised. Then, cautious. "My sister," she said. "About money." The relief was immediate, followed by guilt. "I thought you were hiding something," I admitted. She sighed. "I was trying to protect you." "That doesn't help," I said, sharper than intended. She stiffened. I didn't want to add pressure. The room felt smaller, walls closing in. "We said we'd be honest," I continued. "And we are," she replied. "But honesty isn't dumping everything at once." The argument stayed controlled. No raised voices, just disappointment. Later, she shared more. Her sister offered help. Alone. I said no, she said quickly. That felt like betrayal. Pride flaring. "You didn't tell me," I said. "I knew you'd react like this," she replied. We sat in silence, both hurt, both defensive. "I don't want charity," I said. "It's not charity," she countered. "It's family." The word stung. Family. Support. I realized then how rigid I'd become, equating help with weakness. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. She didn't respond immediately, then nodded once. "I don't want secrets," she said, "even well-intentioned ones." "Neither do I," replied. That night, we talked longer than planned. About pride, fear, expectations. I admitted how exposed I felt. She admitted feeling shut out before. The next morning, clarity arrived slowly. Not certainty. Direction. I accepted the new job. Sent the email. Closed the chapter. Telling my manager felt surreal. He wasn't surprised. "Probably smart," he said. "This place is changing." Walking out that day, I felt lighter and sad. At home, we marked the moment quietly. No celebration, just acknowledgement. The neighbor stopped by later. Heard the news. "Hard choices," she said, "but necessary ones." I nodded. That evening, we sat together, reviewing schedules, new routines. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. For the first time in months, the future felt negotiable. Not fixed, not threatening, just open. The first week at the new job felt unfamiliar. Different rhythm, different expectations. I arrived earlier than necessary. Old habits clung tightly. People were polite, curious, not demanding. My supervisor spoke clearly, defined limits, clear priorities. For the first time in years, I left work before sunset. The drive home felt strange. Traffic lighter, mind quieter. At home, she noticed immediately. "You're early," she said. "I know," I replied. Still adjusting. Dinner tasted different. Not better, just calmer. We talked about small things. Schedules, groceries, weather. Later, the weight returned gently. Bills still existed. Numbers unchanged. But something else had shifted. The tone. Instead of tension, there was planning. We laid papers on the table. Mortgage, utilities, savings. No accusations. No sighs. "I can pick up extra shifts," she offered. "I don't want you exhausted," I said. "I don't want us silent," she replied. That landed deeply. We discussed options honestly. Cutting expenses. Delaying purchases. I admitted my fear of falling behind, of losing respect. She admitted hers, of carrying everything emotionally. We didn't solve everything, but we aligned. Days passed, slowly. The house felt different, less brittle. I fixed small things. Loose cabinet, squeaky door. She noticed, smiled. One evening, she showed me a spreadsheet, her own. "I started tracking," she said, "just to see." It wasn't control. It was care. I thanked her. Meant it. Later, we called her sister together. Accepted limited help. Clear terms. It was uncomfortable. Necessary. Pride bent slightly. Didn't break. The neighbor dropped by again. Brought soup. No questions. I realized support came quietly. If allowed, weeks turned into a month. Then another. The new routine settled. Predictable. Manageable. I slept better. Thought clearer. One night, while washing dishes, she stood beside me. "Do you trust me?" she asked suddenly. I stopped. "Yes. Even when I decide something without you," she continued. I considered carefully. "Tell me after," I said. "Don't hide." She nodded. "That's fair." I realized trust wasn't blind agreement. It was shared direction. Later that night, I thought about failure, how I had defined it narrowly. Job title, income. I saw now the cost. Distance, silence. Letting go hadn't solved everything, but it stopped the bleeding. One afternoon, I received an email. Performance feedback. Positive. I didn't rush to tell her. Waited until dinner. She listened. Happy, not relieved. That mattered. We planned a small trip. Nothing expensive. Just away. Standing by the window that night, I watched streetlights flicker. Life hadn't reset. It recalibrated. I thought about the warning, the choice, the call. I hadn't escaped pressure. I'd changed how it met me. Before bed, she reached for my hand. Simple, unforced. "I'm glad we didn't pretend," she said. "Me too," I replied. Silence followed. Comfortable. The future still carried risk, but not alone. I understood then what recovery meant. Not winning. Stabilizing. Not pride restored. Connection preserved. As sleep came, I felt steady. Not because everything worked out, because we faced it together.